My son called another woman mom, so I followed him after school. What I discovered shattered me. It started like any normal Tuesday afternoon. I was parked across the street from my son's elementary school, waiting to pick him up like I always did. Windows cracked, radio low, iced coffee in the cup holder. Just another routine day. Or so I thought. At 3:05 p.m., the school bell rang, and the kids poured out like a wave. Backpacks bouncing, sneakers squeaking on the pavement, laughter echoing. I spotted my son, Ryan, right away. 8 years old, messy hair, wearing the red hoodie his dad got him for Christmas, but then, something strange happened. Instead of heading toward my car like he usually did, Ryan veered off toward the corner of the block. He was smiling, waving at someone, and then I saw her. A woman I didn't recognize was standing by the crosswalk. Tall, blonde, maybe mid-30s. Well-dressed. Designer purse, polished nails, sunglasses perched on her head. She knelt down and opened her arms, and Ryan ran straight into them. I froze. I thought maybe it was a teacher or a school volunteer. But the way he hugged her, tight, familiar, intimate, made my stomach drop, and then I heard it, clear as day, through the cracked window, "Hi, Mom." My heart stopped. I blinked, thinking maybe I misheard. But the woman laughed softly, brushed his hair back, and said, "I missed you, sweetheart." I was still sitting there, stunned, trying to process what the hell I'd just seen, when they started walking away together, hand in hand. I didn't know what else to do. So I followed them. I kept my distance, letting them turn the corner before I pulled out and trailed behind. My heart was racing, palms sweating. Every scenario was crashing through my head at once. Was this someone from his dad's side of the family? A teacher role-playing for some project? Some mistake, but no matter how I twisted it, there was no explanation that made sense. Because Ryan called her mom. They walked 3 blocks down and turned into a small ice cream shop. I parked down the street and waited, slouched low in my seat like some amateur spy. Through the front window, I watched them laughing, sharing a sundae, his little legs swinging from the booth. She wiped chocolate from his cheek and kissed his forehead like she'd done it 1,000 times before, and Ryan looked happy. Comfortable. Like this was normal, but it wasn't. I was his mother. I carried him for 9 months. I stayed up with him through fevers and nightmares. I packed his lunches, helped him with homework, kissed every scraped knee. Who the hell was this woman? When they finally left the shop, I snapped photos. I didn't know what I'd do with them yet, but I needed proof that this wasn't just a bad dream. They kept walking, and eventually reached an apartment complex on the other side of town. She pulled out a key, let them in, and just like that, they disappeared inside. I sat in my car for almost an hour, staring at the front door. Waiting. I didn't call my ex. I didn't call my mom. I just sat there in silence, letting the betrayal seep into my bones. When Ryan finally came back outside, it was almost 5:30. Alone. Holding a small bag of candy. She didn't come with him. He walked back the same way he came, and when he spotted me waiting, he waved like nothing happened, like everything was fine. He climbed into the back seat, smiling. "Hey, Mom," he chirped, and I smiled back, but inside, I was breaking. That night, after Ryan went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table staring at the photos I took. Her arm around his shoulders. The way he leaned into her like he belonged there. My coffee had gone cold, untouched. The silence in the house was deafening. My husband, my ex-husband, had never mentioned anything about another woman. Not once. We had split 2 years ago. It wasn't a messy divorce, at least not by today's standards. He got weekends. I got weekdays. We agreed on everything to keep things easy for Ryan. He'd pick him up Friday afternoons, drop him back off Sunday evenings. We had a good rhythm. He even came to a couple of school events, always cordial. Respectful. We weren't friends, but we weren't enemies either. So who the hell was that woman? And why did my son call her mom? I picked up my phone a dozen times, ready to call him, to scream, to demand an explanation, but I didn't. Instead, I opened Facebook. His profile was still public. Typical. He rarely posted, but I scrolled back anyway. Birthday photos of Ryan. A couple of beers with friends. And then I saw her. 4 months ago, tagged in a group photo at a barbecue. Same sunglasses. Same flawless smile. Her name was Jenna. I clicked. Her profile was private, but her profile picture was them, her and my ex, smiling on a beach. She had her arms wrapped around his waist. They looked like a couple. A happy one. I felt sick. And then I saw something else. A comment under that photo from 3 weeks ago. "You two make the cutest little family," someone wrote. Jenna had replied with a heart emoji. And my ex? He liked it. Family. I stayed up until 2 a.m. trying to make sense of it. Had he been letting Ryan spend time with her behind my back? Introducing him to someone he was dating without telling me? Letting my son call her mom? I checked our custody agreement. Technically, he wasn't obligated to tell me unless she was a live-in partner. But this wasn't just some girlfriend. This was deception. This was confusion for my child. This was not okay. I kept hearing Ryan's voice in my head, "Hi, Mom." And every time it echoed, it felt like another stab to the chest. By morning, I knew I couldn't let this go. Not without answers. Not without making damn sure my son knew who his real mother was. I didn't care how awkward it got. I didn't care how civil we'd tried to be. This crossed a line. And if my ex thought he could play house with another woman and my child without telling me, then he had another thing coming. I waited until Monday morning. I knew Ryan would be back at school, and I didn't want him overhearing anything. I texted my ex, Jason, something neutral, "Hey, can we talk for a few minutes?" No rush, just something I wanted to clear up. He called me 5 minutes later. Typical. Always eager to look like the responsible co-parent. His voice was calm. Friendly, even. "Hey, everything okay?" I didn't waste time. "Who's Jenna?" Silence. Not long, but long enough to give him away. "She's someone I've been seeing." "Why?" "She's someone our son called Mom yesterday." Now the silence was longer. He tried to recover, stumbling over words. "Look, it wasn't supposed to, he picked that up on his own. I never told him to call her that." I felt the anger rising. "But you didn't stop him." Jason sighed. "It's not that simple, okay? Jenna and I have been together for almost a year. I didn't tell you because I wasn't sure how serious it was. But she and Ryan get along really well. He likes her." "That's not the point," I snapped. "You're letting another woman step into a role that isn't hers, and you didn't think I deserved a heads up? You didn't think my son calling another woman mom might be a conversation we should have had?" He paused again. "I get it. I do. But I didn't want to complicate things unless I had to. And Ryan, he started calling her that a couple months ago. I thought it was just a phase." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "A couple months ago? And you kept me in the dark this whole time?" He got defensive. "I wasn't hiding it, I was protecting the peace. And frankly, I didn't think it was going to bother you this much." "Bother me?" I ended the call before I said something I'd regret. My hands were shaking. He didn't get it. This wasn't about jealousy. This wasn't about him moving on. It was about my son being confused, being pulled into something he couldn't understand. And about a woman, someone I'd never even met, being handed a title I earned with every scraped knee, every nightmare soothed, every damn day I showed up. That night, I sat Ryan down. "Sweetie," I said gently, "I heard you call someone else mom this weekend. Can you tell me about her?" He looked nervous. "Jenna? Daddy says she's nice. She makes pancakes like you. And she reads me stories." I thought it was okay. And in that moment, I realized something. My fight wasn't with my son. It was with the adults who should have known better, and I wasn't done yet. For days passed without a single message from Jenna. No apology. No explanation. Nothing. Jason texted once, something short, "Let's keep things calm for Ryan's sake." As if I'd been the one causing chaos. I kept thinking about how Ryan had described her, how she read him stories, how she made pancakes like me. I hated how much of me she was trying to replicate. But it was Friday afternoon when I finally got a message. From her. Just a simple, "Can we talk?" I stared at it for a while, debating whether to even respond. Eventually, I said, "Sure. Call me after 6. Ryan's at soccer." When the phone rang that evening, I answered without a word. She was quiet at first. Then she sighed. "Look, I didn't mean to upset you. I honestly didn't even realize he was calling me Mom until a few weeks ago. I didn't say anything." She kept going. I corrected him once. He looked so hurt. I didn't know what to do. I asked Jason, and he said it was fine. He said it would confuse Ryan more if we made a big deal out of it. There it was. Jason again, making decisions that weren't his alone to make. Do you even understand how that made me feel? I asked, voice low. That my son called another woman Mom and no one thought I should know? She didn't answer right away. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. "I'm not trying to take your place. I swear. I care about him. A lot. And he clearly needed someone when Jason wasn't being fully present. He's a good kid. I never tried to be you." I believed her. And maybe that made it worse. Because that meant this wasn't a scheme. This wasn't malicious. It was just careless. "You're not his mom," I said firmly. "You can care about him. You can be there. But you don't get that title." She hesitated. Then said, "Okay. I understand. But the damage was already done." And Jason? He still hadn't even apologized. The next morning, I told Jason I needed to talk. Not over text. Not through Jenna. Face to face. He showed up that afternoon, looking tired, like he hadn't slept much. He sat at the kitchen table like it was still his house. Like he had a right to be comfortable there. I didn't offer coffee. I didn't offer anything. "So," I said, "when exactly were you planning to tell me our son was calling your girlfriend Mom?" He winced. "I didn't plan it. It just happened." "That's not an answer," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "You made a decision. You let it continue. You hid it from me." He rubbed his hands over his face. "I didn't hide it. I didn't think it was worth blowing up over." That sentence shattered something inside me. "Not worth blowing up over?" I repeated. "Jason, he's our son. You don't get to decide which parts of his life I'm allowed to know about." He finally looked me in the eye. "It was hard, okay? After everything. The divorce." Ryan was confused. Jenna was helping. He started calling her Mom on his own. I didn't want to hurt him by making it a big deal. "But you were okay with hurting me?" I asked. He didn't answer. That told me everything. "You think she's replacing me?" I asked, quieter now. "No. Of course not. But you didn't stop it. You didn't think I deserved to be part of the conversation. That's not co-parenting, Jason. That's betrayal." He stood up. "I'm sorry. I really am. I screwed up. I thought I was doing what was easiest for Ryan." "You mean what was easiest for you?" I said. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't argue with me. After Jason left, I sat in Ryan's room for a long time. His toys were scattered everywhere, his drawings taped to the walls, and in the center of the chaos was a little boy who didn't know any of this was going on. Who just wanted to be loved. Protected. Safe. That night, I wrote everything down. Every time Jason had failed to communicate. Every time Jenna had crossed a boundary. Every moment where I, his mother, had been sidelined. I contacted my lawyer the next day. Not to keep Ryan from Jason, but to make it clear that I wasn't going to be treated like a side character in my own son's life. We started drafting a custody modification. Clear rules. Clear consequences. No more letting Jason call the shots. No more secrets. No more, "Oh, it just happened." If Jenna wanted to be in Ryan's life, she'd have to respect the role I play, the one I've earned since the day he was born. I also sat Ryan down and talked to him. Really talked. I didn't badmouth anyone, I just reminded him of who I am. I showed him pictures from when he was a baby. I told him stories. I made sure he knew how much I love him, how proud I am of him, and that no matter what anyone else says, I'm his mom. That doesn't change. Ever. The road ahead isn't going to be easy. Jason is already pushing back, trying to say I'm being dramatic or making things worse. But this isn't about drama. This is about standing up for my place in my son's life. About drawing the line. And this time, I'm not backing down.